Hi, I'm Sam from Guitar and Bass magazine. I'm very pleased to have with me no other than Howard from Catalinbread. Great to see you.
Good to see you, Sam. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Now, the Bell Epoch, the Formula 55, and all these great pedals that you've got coming out, they're a big favourite of ours in the UK and Europe. You've done more to them, though.
Next level them, yes.
Okay, tell us about the next level.
Okay, well, the Belle Epoch, a lot of people are familiar with NAMM. It's our compact delay pedal, Echoplex based. So for the Belle Epoch Deluxe, I wanted to take it all the way to accurate, actual EP3 Echoplex circuitry and sound.
Right.
So we had to use a bigger enclosure to do that, and so it's designed from the ground up. It's not the old pedal with more knobs and things like that. Total ground up redesign. And the design is based exactly on the vintage Echoplex. And one of the key things is it runs on 22 volts, the Belle Epoch Deluxe and the Epoch Pre, which is the voltage that the vintage Echoplex ran in. And that's important because, well, that's what they ran at, and that the sound in the headroom is contributed a lot by that voltage rating. But you don't need a special adapter or anything like that. The pedals run on a standard 9-volt adapter, and internally converts it to the 22. And so people are very familiar with the preamp of the Echoplex. There's a lot of pedals out there now that do that thing. And, you know, because it's a good thing. That's why everyone's doing it. Because they go, yeah, your amp sounds better when you're playing through this preamp. So I wanted to make it as accurate as possible this go around. But there's more to the Echoplex than just a preamp. There's a preamp, there's the mixer section, there's a record amplifier, playback amplifier, and the record and playback amps are transistor based.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you look inside the pedal, you will see you see all these large parts, orange drop caps, JFETs and transistors. There's no op amps. There's no surface mount parts.
Okay.
And that's actually important to get that sound. It's just a different tonality, different response. So we're not doing this just because it looks cool, although it does look cool.
It looks very cool.
Yeah, these types of parts were used in vintage construction. So that's a big part of it.
Can I just ask? The Bell Epoch is so popular, as you mentioned. It's a great pedal. Everybody's got it on their boards, including our editor at Guitar and Bass magazine. Why was it important for you to take it to the next stage? Why just leave that as a perfect sounding pedal that everybody loves? Why did you suddenly wake up one day and go, this needs to happen?
Right, because it's one of our top selling pedals in our lineup. And you're right. A normal person would probably say, well, that's selling really well, let's work on something else. I guess it's obsession, right? Well, I knew that it could go just a little bit farther, even though, you know, we really appreciate how much support we get, how many fans that pedal has. It wasn't a marketing decision, and it was just me wanting to take it further. Because I kind of had this thing in my head, once I get it all the way, no compromise. Because if you compare the Belle Epoch to the Echoplex, it's really close, but there's something going on with the actual Echoplex. You know, it's a big box, right? And it's got the tape and everything in it. So if you look at the Belle Epoch Deluxe, like I said, all those parts, the circuitry is identical to a vintage EP3. The original Belle Epoch, it's a similar architecture. Some of the functions were performed in digital domain. There is some analog stuff. The preamp is tuned a little differently. And we had to use different types of capacitors and stuff like that. So with this, I can just I could not have any of those compromises to hold me back. And the higher voltage. So the first goal is to get the sound. And once I got the sound, I wanted to be able to expand on it for performance. So we had the expression pedal input.
Right.
And you can control a variety of parameters of that. Delay time, the echo volume, filter sweep, rotary speed and stuff like that. And when we get into sounds, I'll try to show you what to do. And there's 6 different what we call echo programs. 2 of them are based on the tape Echoplex sound.
Okay.
And then 2 are based on the Deluxe Memory Man. Because once I got the Echoplex sound down, where I could compare a vintage Echoplex with this, I go, yeah, okay, that's pretty close. Then I'm like, well, what if I took the best analog delay pedal, Deluxe Memory Man, and took its chorus sound and vibrato sounds and made that with the Echoplex. So there's 2 patches for that. And there's 2 other patches, a sweeping filter and a rotary, which just kind of takes a little farther.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that's it. It sounds like the 70s. It's got a really warm, creamy kind of sound. It's not dull. So if you're concerned that it's too warm, it's got the warmth, but it's got clarity.
Yeah.
It's a sweet top end. It's like, once you'll play it, they'll hear it, they'll feel it. It's kind of feeling your fingers.
I can't wait to hear it. I own an original EP3 and an EP1.
Oh, so you have the EP3.
So I love using them. As much as I'd like to take them out all the time and play with them, very temperamental.
Well, they are very temperamental, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what, a lot of professionals, and some people I've talked to at NAMM, some of the professional players, they love their Echoplexes.
Yeah.
They love them. They love the sound of them, but they hate their Echoplexes.
Yes.
Because the sound is there, but they're noisy. You got to clean the heads constantly. They break down. One guy I was talking to that uses Echoplex live, sometimes you get on stage and the motor won't even start spinning. You got to actually go up and kick it,
Yeah. That sounds very that sounds very familiar.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the test unit that I have when I was developing this, some days I'm like, okay, I'm going to work on the circuit, get the breadboard out, and compare it with the vintage Echoplex, and I turn it on and it won't spin. So I got to take the lid off, go to the tape, and kind of help it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that reminded me of why I had to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because I want to get that sound and not, have the hassle.
I call it massaging the Echoplex.
Right.
But sometimes I just need to give it a little bit of a warm-up.
Yeah. Well, they're kind of like humans, right?
Yeah.
You don't wake up the same way every day.
Well, they've all got such a distinct character. Now, for the Formula.
Yeah.
Another really popular pedal that you've...
Right. So the Formula number 55 is the next generation Tweak Deluxe inspired Foundation Overdrive. The Formula number 5, we've had that out for, 6, maybe 7 years, maybe more now. Been out for a while. So I've learned a lot since then, but it still is a good pedal. But it kind of got started because our parts guy was saying, well, we're running low on these kind of parts, this kind of parts.
Oh, okay.
Can you approve a substitution, like this and that? I'm like, you know what, screw it. Let me just start over, and because I got all these new ideas. So, once again, I just wanted to take it next level, and use parts that we can do, So it's still the same intention to make a 5E3 Tweak Deluxe overdrive and turn a clean amp, into a big tweet sound. And my goal was to get a wider gain range, a little bit more volume boost. Because the Formula 5, the original one, had a great sound, but it was maybe a little bit more of a specific range of sound.
Okay.
And so I think this one may be a little bit wider. And it's got more controls, but it was redesigned from the ground up.
Okay.
I started from a blank slate and took everything I've learned over the last 7 years.
And that's so important, actually. I've seen quite a lot of pedals that always have a version 2 or a reboot, even after as little as 6 months. And essentially, they're identical internally, but they may have an extra output, they may have an expression input. So what you're saying is, effectively, if they have this already, they could quite easily go out and get another Formula 55 to go with the original, and it would be a different...
It would be different, yeah. Yeah, it'd be a different thing.
Yeah.
So I actually think that the Formula 55 is more of an authentic kind of tweed sound. It's got a big low end, it's got that... it's hard to describe with words, but when you hear it kind of thing.
Are you basically describing Angry Neil Young?
Angry Neil Young is part of it, but you can do... when I sat down to do the breadboard, I go, okay, I want to go from Kenny Burrell, Grant Green, all the way to Neil Young.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that range of gain, you know. And the original 405 had 3 knobs. This got 4 knobs and a push button for 2 gain ranges.
Nice.
And the push button in the low gain mode would be more in the realm of the gain of vintage tweed amp. You'll get cleaner tones there and that kind of edge of breakup tone. And if you press to the high mode, or red mode as we call it, it's sort of if you substituted higher gain preamp tubes in there. Because circuit-wise, that's literally what I'm doing. So I'm boosting the gain of the tube stages, which are discrete JFETs. So no clipping diodes, no op amps, all through hole parts. And so for some guys, that's an important aspect. Some people don't care, but for me, it's important because those are the kind of parts that get me what I want to hear, what I want to feel.
So finally, release dates for these pedals. Is this a NAMM, not available, maybe May?
Well, we're announcing it at NAMM, obviously.
Yeah.
No longer a secret. This one's still a secret. It's a dirty little one, too.
Right. Okay.
The Formula 55, we're going to be shipping January 31st.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
next week.
Yeah.
In fact, back home, they're making them right now.
Nice.
They want me to come home and help test them, so they're legit. So that's what I got to do after the flight. The Belle Epoch Deluxe, we're shooting for late March.
Nice. Oh, okay.
Hope we can make that. We got a lot of work to do still.
Right.
We made it to the base camp of Mount Everest,
Okay.
and now the climb begins. We got the prototypes, but we have some more work to do to refine the actual hardware so we can actually make them in production.
Yeah.
You know, we don't make the quantities that we want to make. You know.
So we're gonna hear them now. So
You want to hear about this one?
well, oh yes, yeah. So the preamp buffer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. There's more.
So we have 2 pedals, basically based on and inspired by the vintage EP3 Echoplex. So we have the Epoch Pre preamp buffer, and so it's a dedicated preamp buffer pedal that is, once again, the preamp is identical to vintage Echoplex, but we start with that, and then I expanded the vision so you can actually use it as a boost pedal and a sound conditioner. I'm calling it like a mastering plugin for your pedal board.
Right.
You put it at the end of your pedal board,
Yeah.
and you have better control over the output of the entire pedal board. It makes it sound richer. You can control the output level. You can do some frequency shaping. It's kind of a new concept, and I'm not trying to make up a bullshit concept, but it really does work. Whatever pedal board you have, whatever brand, put this at the end.
So explain to me very quickly the early later switching.
Yeah.
So
If you study the vintage Echoplex EP3, there were 2 main specs for the preamp. Early refers to the first 400, and it had a different voicing of the preamp. A little bit tighter in the bass, and it had a bypass capacitor that basically gave it this nice upper mid-range kick. So if you're running like an old tube amp or a Marshall cranked up, and you don't want it to get muddy, you want it to have a cut through, the early mode is great. The later mode, which is how they made the rest of the Echoplexes, it's great too. It's a more flat, broad, deep sound, and it's really warm and creamy, is the way I would say it. So, the actual Echoplex never was intended as a booster, but all the players through the years just liked what it did to the sound. And so you can get that with the Pre. There's controls on there, so you can get the basic sound enhancing kind of features. But I've got a couple extra controls that allow you to actually use it as a boost. So there's a bias control, and you can go from EP3, which is the vintage response, and you can just go hotter and hotter and hotter. And when we do the playing demo, I'll show it.
yeah.
And there's a preset boost knob. Wherever you set this, when you hit that button, instantly you have that amount of boost. And it's a big fat 22 volt JFET warm boost.
Love.
And it's also got 2 outputs.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. I can see so
Yeah, so it's got 2 amps. So I'm driving 2 amps with it today.
Nice.
So it's really handy just to have, you know.
Yeah.
I would like to point out, a lot of folks seem to ask this question, like, well, if I get the Epoch Deluxe and the Pre, can I turn off the preamp in the Deluxe without want to go through 2 preamps?
Yeah, yeah.
And I just want to tell you guys that you don't need to worry about that. You can't turn the preamp off because if you look at the block diagram here, the preamp is actually the driver's circuit. It's not like a thing you add on, change the tone. Yeah. The unit won't work without it. So you don't have to have both of them, but if you have both of them, you don't have to turn off the preamp and the other. They work really well together. In fact, this whole weekend now, we've basically been playing through both of them all at the same time. So there's probably more we can say, but that's a good overview there. And maybe I can invite them to go to our website for more information. So
great.
Go to Catalinbread.com, and we've got a blog article written, A Tale of Two Epochs, that will tell you more in depth about the backstory of the new pedals.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and it's been a pleasure working with Jess behind the camera here.
Jess is great, yeah.
I know, I've recruited some Catalinbread team to help me film, which has been great.
Thank you.
We're one big family.
Yes, we are.